and gentlemen, once more, the Grizzled Veterans have arrived for episode number 6?
6? I think this is 6. Yes. Welcome back, one and all.
Yeah. It's been a bit of a hiatus, and, after a couple health issues myself personally, we're back in the swing of it. I haven't really felt like podcasting, which is weird because I love the sound of my own voice.
Well, I know
that. But yeah,
couldn't resist.
Who's with me again today?
All right, you got the one and only Donovan O kicking up the sidekick role.
Oh, I like that. You even gave me the baritone. Nice bass in that.
It's because I got a good microphone.
Yeah, you do. You do have an excellent mic. That's going to be my next investment. I want one of those hangy ones.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the. You see a lot of YouTubers and whatnot. They have the sort of swinging arm. I have a more traditional mic stand. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think the arm thing make it look very
well. It works better for when you got the camera.
Yes. So that'll be an investment of mine. But for now, we'll have to make do. Your investment is still going to be that camera, my friend.
Yeah, we'll see. Literally. I do feel at some point I'm going to have to break down and get one for other reasons besides the podcast.
Sure.
But yeah.
So you might as well. They're not that expensive. I'll send you the link to the one I got. Honestly, it was like $30, and this thing's fantastic. Look at it, clear as day. Hi.
Yeah, no, you look nice and pretty there, buddy. Look at those blue eyes shine.
Yeah, I lost like 9 pounds from being sick.
Well,
I kind of wanted to lose a little weight, but not this way.
Right. No, that's not the way you want to lose weight, but
no, I didn't. But yeah, I'm back in black. So yeah, there's a lot there's been some significant news items, and although that's not really something we really go into on this show, I felt they're pretty relevant to, what we do as a whole and they can't really be ignored. So we'll jump into those in a minute. I guess like we always do, we have liquid income to spend on certain things. So, did you get anything cool?
Well, yeah.
Because it's been like
I think
almost 2 months.
At the last, did I get my Series X?
No.
Okay. So, I've acquired a Series X and upgraded my Xbox. So
good for you.
That was beautiful. And then to top it off, I got my TV that I've been wanting to get for a while. So I got the LG OLED C1, which is...
Was it 65?
It's a 55.
55.
Yeah.
But that's good for your space, though.
Oh, that's as big as I can go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's... I mean, I did my research. It's highly, highly rated for gaming. So
yeah, I remember you going into it on one of the shows. And
primarily why I was looking at it. So, yeah, I'm super happy.
Boat. It's the motion in the ocean.
Yes. No, games have never looked this good for me. So
it's crazy what like a brand new TV does.
Especially when you're getting into. I haven't had HDR. I haven't had 4K yet. So this is all brand new for me, and it's really breathing new life into some older games.
It's not quite the jump that HD was from SD, but it is still it's a strong jump nonetheless.
Yeah. I'm surprised at the amount of stuff on, like, we're talking 360 games that have HDR support. And I've been pretty blown away. Street Fighter 4 vanilla, because I still have my disc. I loaded that up and HDR popped up and I was like, are you kidding me?
Indestructible.
Yeah, man.
Everyone hated that song at first, but now it's like a cult classic. Like,
right.
Everyone's like, and you look back, you're like, this is kind of a sick song. Like it's cheesy in the good way that Street Fighter became.
Well, sure,
now
right?
We just need to get rid of the big feed exaggerated graphics, but I like that song's great. I'm gonna add it in the background of this.
I mean, they're going more hip hop now, which isn't my personal taste. They kind
of always did. Like Street Fighter 3 adopted the
hip-hop. They had that sort of 90s hip hop flavor going on, right? So I get that.
Urban slam.
Yes. Well, they need to bring back, what was that guy's name? Not the guy that looks like Trent Reznor. But he's got a pretty low chance of coming back to Street Fighter 6. What was his name?
Street Fighter 3, you mean?
Yeah.
Did he have green hair?
Yeah, the moody, like the
Yeah, but
The
I mean,
emo
he was like a
before there was
Guile.
emo
He
guy.
was like a Guile replacement. Like you'd
Yeah,
rather just have Guile, right?
sure. You know what? I've played with him a few times. He's not terrible character, but I mean,
No,
probably not one that they're going to bring back. So
no, but I mean, a Street Fighter 6 announcement should be imminent. I think. Well, we've had the announcement, but I mean, like the actual showing
I
of
think
gameplay
what are
and systems.
they changed the
I
name of
bet you it
E3,
comes at
didn't they?
Evo.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, did they change the name of E3?
E3's not happening again, but Jeff Keighley's doing his Summer Games Fest.
That's okay. So they're not
Yeah.
doing okay. That's basically
Which is another big thing. Like, man, I'll be honest. Like, I think about it, and you know what's been missing the last few years? That like hype that E3 used to give us, and we haven't
Absolutely.
had it. This will be 3 years now.
Oh, I'm a little extra disappointed. Like I would have just assumed that it was going to happen for real this year. I had heard about the
we're
Summer
not
Games
having it.
Fest.
I don't think game companies want to be a part of. Like, I know it was kind of shitty the way the governing body. I can't think of the name right now of the governing body. It's not the ESRB. I don't think it's something else. Maybe it is ESRB.
But I think they have a pretty big hand in that too, though.
Yeah, but the fees they charge to companies and developers and manufacturers were exorbitant to attend an E3 press conference. And the truth is, like, it's kind of been irrelevant and redundant in terms of their business for a long time, but they just kept doing it for the fans, right?
Yeah.
But, these shows are for ultimately it is about the fans.
And
it seems like, and I really like Jeff Keighley, and it's cool that he's doing his own thing, but it's not like E3. It's not the same. It's not like the big Xbox, the big Sony press conference. And some of the shows got shitty later, but they were still all there. It was like this 4-day thing where we could get together and like celebrate video games. And
that's the thing. Like,
hype.
People like an event.
I do.
And there's something to be said for like waiting in line to see something that's brand new that you're hyped about, and you're, like you said, like the hype isn't there like it used to be, because now things, there's so many leaks now that like things that are supposed to be debuting on a certain time at night or whatever, and it ends up getting released 2 weeks early or something, and like I said, back in the day before the internet, I guess you could say, is when it was probably at its most potent as far as hype levels and that whole, because it was easier to keep secrets back then.
Sure. I mean, I would push back. Like, leaks have always kind of been the thing, but
sure,
you even go back to like 2015. They said it was the E3 of Dreams, where PlayStation announced Final Fantasy VII Remake, Last Guardian, and Shenmue 3, and then a couple years prior to that, when they announced the PS4, when the roof almost blew off. Like, these are just like insanely, and like Twilight Princess, going way back all the way to the GameCube. That was an insane showing. People went crazy for that. It's just like the electricity from the crowd in a live show brings it, like, and what we have in place right now, like the PlayStation State of Play, they suck. The format sucks. There's no like hype for it. The woman that they use to narrate it is so like anti-excitement of anything. Nintendo's always had their directs, which are kind of cool, and they give you information directly, but same thing. But at least the direct give you more of a personal touch. Like, they'll bring the directors, developers, and whatnot on to talk about. Directs can drag on for an hour or more. These state of plays suck. They're like 22 minutes, 25 minutes, and they're rarely very good. And I know Xbox is having their showcase, and we'll get into a little bit of that later, because there's a big thing that happened, a delay, which hurts them. But I know they're having a big showcase coming up too, and although they haven't done many of them,
right,
I hope they just do a better job and learn, because that's, for me, I will say, it's crazy. Like, the PS5 and the Series X, Series S came out, and it's like, compared to the last generation, it doesn't have that like excitement and hype behind it, at least for me. Like, and it's crazy. I think the tech is awesome, like the hardware is awesome, but it's kind of not it. we're 2 years into this new generation, and it feels like it hasn't even started.
Yeah, no, it felt like an upgrade more than a new generation.
And it's like the hardware in place is definitely more than an upgrade. It is a true generation.
Absolutely, but not
nothing about it feels like that yet.
Yeah, no, like sure, yeah, our graphics are better, our frame rates are higher, but the machine itself is so similar in execution to the previous one. I'm as much as I herald the Xbox for its backwards compatibility. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite features about it. At the same time, the Xbox Series X just feels like an Xbox One 2. You know what I mean? Like
those naming conventions, man. No, I get it, and I'm with you. I will say the one thing to me that feels next gen is the speed. Like you really feel it when you go back to your PS4 or One X.
Oh, dude.
Or even before that, like the SSDs, man. Just
absolutely.
Bang. Like, and it's like, but the problem with that is it's so subtle, right? Because, and also, you and I, as gamers being as old as we are, it's not that new of a thing because when we played on cartridges, it was instant.
Oh yeah, there's no load time.
So it's just bringing back something that we feel like we should have had in the first place anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I noticed a huge difference with Elden Ring.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I mean everything to varying degrees, just everything.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But I'm kind of still. I'm hope this Summer Games Fest really gives that nitro boost that it needs, because this year for games releases has gone from like a year that could potentially be right up there with the upper echelons of greatest years in games released, and now it's completely dried up.
Oh no, it feels pretty dry. Like
we know nothing concrete about really the last six months of the year.
Well, I think we can safely say that we're... Yeah, that's going to come out. I think Final Fantasy 16.
Well, it's on now, so we'll get to that in a minute. Let's put a pin on this discussion. And is that all you've got?
As far as other things that are going to come out this year that I think are going to be big?
Just personal. I'm trying to keep us on track.
Oh yeah, no. Let's moving right along.
Me personally, I haven't really bought anything. Like I said, I've been under the weather, but I just got the shipping email for I Am 8-Bit and Limited Run Games are two companies that give these specialized collector's editions and physical copies of typical games that have been. I have a ton of them. You probably can see some back there. But 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I should say, but it was December of 2020. Disco Elysium. You ever heard of Disco Elysium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I Am 8-Bit was doing the collector's edition for that. So I thought it was great, and I wanted to play that game, but I'm like, okay, I'll buy the collector's edition. I literally just got the shipped email yesterday. A year and a half for this thing. Now, wow. I finally tracked down why they did this. They said there was a part of the collector's edition that came in, and they were unhappy with the quality, and they had to reorder it. But they didn't communicate any of this stuff. And I have to say, like, I was extremely disappointed in how they handled it, because
that's just,
a year and a half
that's
for
really
service. What amounts to Canadian dollars, like a $275, $280 collector's edition is crazy.
Yeah, and to wait that long. Yeah,
and I've dealt with them before, and they've never done anything like this. And I was like I got a couple that I purchased from Limited Run that should be coming in soon. One was that Castlevania collector's edition I sent you.
That looks really cool.
The coffin, the Alucard coffin and stuff like that. I splurged for that and a couple smaller ones. And the turnaround on those are typically like 5 months.
Okay.
But not a year and a half. And other than that, I got a couple digital games. We can get into that when, like, some of the stuff we've been playing. But nothing major. Usually I come up here with a cool, thing I show on camera. But no, nothing today.
You were sick, boy.
This lovely tea.
Yeah, we're both drinking tea this time.
Drinking tea, yeah. So, what do you want? Do you want to get into what we're playing, or do you want to let's do this. Let's get into our first pseudo news topic, and then we'll get into what we're playing.
All right.
Want me to frame this up?
Sure, go ahead, Maddie.
I'll frame it. So, our favorite company to love and hate, as we hate and love ourselves, is Square Enix. Yeah. I don't know. And honestly, we had a big discussion last podcast where we went in on Square, and I sort of cut a smaller section out of our last podcast and put that on YouTube, and I got a little bit of traction, which was kind of cool. But anyway, Square has gone ahead and done something that no one expected. They sold basically all their Western studios. That's IDOS, and I guess you could familiarize it, and Crystal Dynamics,
right? So we're talking
Guardians
Soul
of the Galaxy,
Reaver and Tomb Raider.
Well, and that's all the properties that are going to go with it, and
right?
Games like Deus Ex and the new Tomb Raider, which all sold well. They seem to have this weird relationship with their Western developers, which now I can't defend them wholeheartedly, because supposedly like Avengers lost a lot of money, Guardians of the Galaxy lost a lot of money,
which is surprising because that was supposed to be like, that's highly rated and like
critically well, and they both sold, if you're just going based on physical copies, they sold pretty well. I don't know, it's just another in the long line of things of mismanagement from Square.
I think Avengers had problems with development, and that's what caused it to be so expensive, right?
Their budget was crazy on that.
But what surprised everybody the most about this sell-off was how little they took for it.
Yeah, $300 million. Which, I'll take your $300 million if you wanted to give it to me. But for all those properties and IP and 3 studios, like, you see what the purchase prices for some of this stuff. Now, none of those companies are worth like an Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, or even a Bungie, but like everyone that I talk to, I shouldn't say talk to, or have heard talk about this, are really surprised at how little the price went.
And that's been the takeaway I've gotten from this topic as well, is like they could have gotten probably double that. I
don't know. And again, Square is this enigma. Like, what are they doing? You hear this, we want to invest in the blockchain and NFT. Get out of here with that stuff. No one wants that from them. And then, which leads to the inevitable discussion that people have tossed around here is, are they preparing for a possible buyout?
That I'm not sure about, because I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I remember when they were separate companies. It would feel strange to me to have this company then now become somebody else, like in the pocket of, say, Sony or whatever, that kind of thing. And I would wonder about exclusivity deals at that point, because they have such a, I guess you could call it a legendary lineup of classic titles, that it would be a disservice to have that only available on one platform.
I agree with you. I mean, in a perfect world, none of this stuff that's happened lately in terms of acquisitions happens.
Yeah.
Right. But
this is all rumor right now. So
no, but I mean, like, your Activision, Blizzard, your ZeniMax with Bethesda, the Bungie, although Bungie's going to stay multi-platform and Sony bought them. But, all these things, as many games available for everybody is great, even though exclusives kind of define consoles and hardware. But
and I agree that, consoles do need exclusive titles, but I feel like Square, like Final Fantasy is not something that should be an exclusive franchise.
Yet, Final Fantasy 16 is an exclusive.
Is it?
Final Fantasy 14 has been an exclusive to PlayStation on consoles. Now, it's obviously a PC game, but on consoles, it's been exclusive to PlayStation since it came out on the late PS3.
16's not coming to Xbox, eh?
Nope. It's a PlayStation exclusive.
That must be...
It said that in the initial trailer right at the end.
Maybe that's time.
Final Fantasy Remake. Console exclusive.
Yeah. But I didn't... 7.
Then you have other games like... they put Triangle Strategy and Bravely Default and stuff like that on console only for the Switch. Although they only recently brought over a couple to Xbox, which is strange. But
Octopath Traveler just is available.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Sorry, Octopath Traveler for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, they make these weird, exclusivity deals a lot lately, and I just don't know what is going. It's strange. Like I only point to the management. I don't know what the people are doing in charge over there. I don't know if they know what they're doing. But I'm not going to get into this because we did enough of that last week.
We don't want to.
I probably did 70% of that.
Pretty soon we're going to be on Square Enix's hit list.
Yeah, maybe. What would you like to... Okay, I'll just pose it to you. What would you like to see happen with Square? And what do you think is going to happen?
I would like to see them focus on what they do best. I would like to see them embrace some IPs that they haven't touched in a long time, and maybe like Vagrant Story.
That'd be nice.
I think that it's got a cult following. It could benefit from a sequel. But they've got lots of little, they've done they've done the Mana remakes and stuff like that. But I feel like, and I've said this before on our podcast, that I would like to see them have two separate teams working on Final Fantasy games, ones that are pushing the envelope and doing new things, and maybe a separate team that's making games that embrace the past and include features that, we love as fans. And, who wouldn't want to see, an awesome turn-based Final Fantasy game? I don't know. I feel like there's an audience for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've long held that thought for Final Fantasy. They have multiple teams working on these, but they're all like, modern versions. Like if we're dealing specifically with their flagship, you have one team working on the current iteration of Final Fantasy and whatever else you're doing with, remakes. But then you have a retro team.
Yeah, working on retro aspects in terms of,
I don't know.
That's exactly what I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was just sort of just repeating. Right? But you, I'll point to the NVIDIA leak, which has been true, and I think it is a wholeheartedly true leak. We've seen it over and over, been proven true. For Square, next up on the docket is a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster or remake, and a Final Fantasy IX remake or remaster.
Well, and the thing about 9 I find interesting is that there's some people out there now that are like doing a fan project of
the Memoria project,
making it widescreen, all that stuff. So I wonder if that has anything to do with this 9 remaster.
No, I don't think it does. I think this is their own thing, and they might get the cease and desist, because I only say, like, usually you would think it's just going to be one of the classic Square mail it in remasters, but we just got the Final Fantasy IX quote unquote remaster with the quality of life improvements in terms of speed up and no battles and trophies and achievements. That was released a few years ago, right?
Yes.
So they're not going to do that again.
No.
So all signs point to this being like a full blown remake.
Yeah, not a remaster.
Right?
Yeah,
not a remaster. Tactics, I think, will get the ironing out the typical Square treatment with achievements and trophies and quality of life improvements and stuff like that. I just hope they release the War of the Lions version that was on the PSP.
Oh, I'm sure that I'm sure that'll be. If they don't, that'll be dumb.
Yeah, but Square does a lot of dumb shit.
Well, you're not wrong there.
They just do a lot of dumb shit, and I'm not going to get be redundant again. But we're looking at the 1 through 6, remasters. They're still not out on consoles. Like I don't know.
Now I know that there's probably an audience for this game, but like I don't know if I'm looking for a sequel to Type 0.
I would have loved it too, but that was Tabata's baby, and now Tabata's gone.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't really enjoy that game that much.
I know, we've talked about that. We're on opposite sides of the fence. Like I will defend Type 0. I wholeheartedly agree with pretty much all your critiques, though. But there was a lot I liked about it. I thought the gameplay system was really good.
Yeah.
But the story is a typical Tabata mess. It was all over the place, and some of it didn't make any sense, which he carried on to 15. But
yeah, and I think I mentioned this, but yeah, it was one of the first Final Fantasies I played where I beat the story and didn't really feel compelled to go back in and like clean up the bonus quests and whatever else.
I think I'm in the minority in terms of my enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
Like it was a PSP, it was a portable game.
Yeah.
Re-release, but that was Tabata's baby, and I don't think there's anyone in the company that really wants to revive Type 0, even though I think that cast of characters and the whole thing, is interesting.
Yeah.
And I would be here for, a Type 1 or whatever they call it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they have too many stuff. They have too much stuff on their plate right now that they still haven't come to fruition with Remake Part 2. And I mean, we can touch on 16 because the news, Naoki Yoshida, the game's producer, the Final Fantasy XIV savior, he says the game is essentially done. And the new trailer, which will re-reveal it, is like imminent.
Yeah. It would have been nice if it had launched in time for us to talk about it now. But,
it would have been great, but I think they're going to do it to coincide with the 35th anniversary, which is next month.
Okay.
They're already pushing out the merchandise.
I noticed. I wasn't sure when that actually started, so thanks for clarifying.
It did, and it sold out in like half an hour. Like those T-shirts. I was so like, they're T-shirts. You can't make more T-shirts. I don't know.
Right. Oh, collectible.
Anyway, yeah. Like, what would I like to see happen, and what do I think is going to happen? What do I think is going to happen? I'll be honest. I got no clue. I think if they were going to be acquired by now, they would have. And the truth be told, who wants to reduce your price or your worth by wholesale selling these Western studios, which are valuable and would I don't know, potentially drive your sale price up by keeping them?
I just thought
why
of
would you
something
sell
funny.
those if you were selling your company, right? Like, it makes no sense.
Well, what you just said kind of made me think to myself, well, what if they were like shopping themselves around and like someone like Sony said, yeah, we know you've got Final Fantasy and all, but man, you guys are a mess.
Yeah, I'm sure they would do that, and that's going to lead into what I would like to happen. What I would like to happen, purely because we talk about their management I think this is like the worst managed AAA company in all of video games.
What, really worse than Konami?
Yeah, because Konami just I mean, it's a fair statement, but like, you look at them, they just basically backed out of video games entirely after Metal Gear Solid 5. And even before that, they're not even releasing games actively.
Although really.
They are warming up again. So all those new Silent Hill rumors that just came out. But again, you look at Konami, they gave it to Bloober Team. Bloober can't make good games. So,
well, and then they had that other game that they made with the Metal Gear 5 engine, Left Alive, which was like dead on arrival.
And then they made the online one, which was no one played. But I would actually like to see PlayStation buy them, only for the sole purpose of, I know they would streamline their pipeline of games, their current projects, get them moving in a way. And if PlayStation bought them, I'd like for them to honor the existing contracts, exclusivity. But after that, do what they're doing with Bungie. Allow them to stay, release games on other consoles. I don't want them to be entirely exclusive. These are global RPGs, but who knows what's going to happen. But Square needs help, man. Like, finishing projects, tightening visions, getting stuff out the door in a timely manner. And I don't know where that's going to come from.
And the polish too, right? Like,
sorry?
Some of this stuff is not polished enough when it's coming out.
No, I mean,
I think things are getting delayed because of that, right? I think, was it Yoshida on 16?
Yes, Naoki Yoshida, yeah.
Right. Someone tells me that he's, he knows about this stuff, and he's probably trying his best to work around the problems at Square.
I agree.
So that's the impression I get from, as far as,
And I think that's why they trust him more and more, because I feel like he's a no bullshit guy that doesn't buy into their corporate stuff. Again, this is complete, conjecture. I've zero evidence for any of this, but I look at his track record, and compared to other managers in Square that have been there a long time, and he's not like them from what I can tell.
Right.
But yeah, let's just nip this conversation now. We're just going to become redundant in terms of all the things we talk about all the time. But that was a topic that we needed to discuss because it was too much. Like, they sold all these games. Like, Tomb Raider sold, like, the new trilogy sold like 40 million copies.
I feel like the quality didn't increase as much as it should have from title to title.
I agree. Like, I thought Rise of the Tomb Raider was excellent, but then I didn't think Shadow of the Tomb Raider was a step up. I actually thought it was a mild step down, even if I still enjoyed it.
Right. Which I haven't played that one yet, but I've played the other two. So I do remember. I like
what they did with that series. I liked it.
I didn't hate it, but I did feel like in some regards it was a bit of a drastic departure from the original formula of Tomb Raider.
And that's where the third one, I think they really tried to push it back. But I guess we'll see what's going to happen with that. The potential for, these companies, we didn't even mention who purchased them.
Right. I know the name. Not Discovery.
No.
That's
because now I've forgotten. I just looked at my phone because I thought my kid was crying.
Oh shit. Grizzled Veterans gaff.
Yep. Embracer Group.
Yeah,
God,
I was like,
Embracer Group, you're buying everything.
After failing with Discovery, I had E in my head, but yeah.
Yeah. But potential Legacy of Kain has just been left there to rot. I would love to see that rebooted. It's long been one of my franchises. I made a video years ago about how that was one of the best potentials franchises to reboot.
Well, that deserves a compilation of some sort, no? That series deserves some sort of compilation.
I suppose, but some of those games are in such rough shape that I don't know, without significant retouching, like the original Blood Omen and Soul Reaver 1 and 2, man, I couldn't play those. Some of the later ones, like Blood Omen 2 and those games, they were all on PS2. And I think they were all on PS2.
Well, Dreamcast.
But I love that franchise. It's great. And we'll see what goes on. Maybe Deus Ex comes back. I think it's a great series. And it should be mentioned before we go that Square didn't get rid of all their Western studios. They kept the Life is Strange studio.
Right.
And the group that did Outriders.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. Moving along.
Moving right along.
You know what? Let's do our other news story, and then we'll get into what we're playing. The other news story we move through is the year that wasn't for Xbox Game Studios, and another monkey wrench in their plans, and the rightful hype that fans had for Xbox moving forward. Sorry?
You're scratching something.
Oh, I was, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, thanks for the tip, Donovan. The rightful hope for this year and into 23 for the game studio after really, really slim pickings. But now Starfield has been delayed, which was to be their huge game for the year. And Redfall as well has been delayed. Donovan, your thoughts?
Starfield, I don't know, I can't say that I'm particularly interested in it.
Me either, because, real quick, Bethesda games aren't my forte. I don't think they're very good developers. Fallout 4 was a disappointment. Everything they've done. Bethesda, to me, was exciting because of the other companies that were under the Machine Games, Arcane, stuff like that. Not because of Bethesda Game Studios proper, but I'm just speaking, this is a game that people were extremely hyped for. And the potential. And the truth is, I haven't seen enough of it to tell you whether I think it's going to be great or not. But
I think that's where I'm sitting.
The game was in rough shape.
Right. And I don't know if it's really... I think it's being touted as a bigger title than it actually is. Or maybe it's just me. I know that there's a certain level of hype regarding this game, but is it really deserving of that kind of hype? Is this franchise something that's that? I mean, Because it's based off an older series. Am I right?
No, as far as I understand, it's a new IP entirely.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm confusing it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anyone say like for instance, I hear From Software talking, there's murmurings that they're going to bring back Armored Core. Now, that's an existing franchise that hasn't been relevant in a while, but that would be bringing back. I've never heard of a Starfield game.
You know what? I think I just figured it out. I was confusing it with Star Control.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them like that. Something, right?
Yeah. So, I got to be honest. I don't really know that much about Starfield, and I think the fact that it's already been delayed like 3 times, hasn't it?
Twice, I think.
Okay.
But they really hyped this last date, the 11/11/22. They stuck to it, and it's been pushed. I guess regardless of how we feel about the game personally, we both can recognize the importance that it had to Xbox's game lineup, because it's been kind of a wasteland. Other than Halo Infinite, which is still not in good shape. It's clear that game was not ready to be released when it was released, and they're still playing catch up with potential season 2 that's still not here. But other than that, there's been nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like, you see a lot of games coming out that are like cross-gen right now.
Yeah, but nothing from Xbox Game Studio, though.
Right.
You're getting your third-party offerings, which are great. But I'm talking like exclusive Xbox games that they can call their own on the platform, at least console exclusive, because everything comes out on PC.
Yeah.
That comes out on Xbox, which is completely fine. But I think this is a big blow for them. I know people had this collective. I could almost, when I saw it happen online, you could almost hear this collective like deflation from Xbox fans online, and I kind of sympathize with them. Like, this was like their shining beacon of the stars. And I mean, you say whatever you want about it. It's finally a game that they could say they could call their own, because it wasn't going to come out anywhere. And now it's pushed to God knows when in 2023. And it's just another thing. Like, Xbox has released no games in 2022. None.
No.
None of their game studios, that vaunted lineup that they purchased, all these games, nothing has come out.
Well, and that's, I mean, like, I'm utilizing backwards compatibility like crazy on my box, and I did, obviously I played Elden Ring on my new box, but I was playing that on my Xbox One before I got the new one.
So, and that's all well and good. Like, the new hardware, you're getting great third-party offerings. Game Pass is clicking, yes, and your backwards compatibility, sure, but people buy these hardware, I would say, mostly for exclusive offerings. Am I right?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Them.
I think that's actually an interesting question right now with this particular generation, because yes, PlayStation has a small selection of exclusive titles, but there's not that many, considering we're, like you said, we're 2 years in and it feels like we're barely getting started.
But you can point to ones on PlayStation. Last year you had Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, you had Miles Morales, Spider-Man, you had the Demon Souls remake. This year there's been huge games: Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, although not interesting to me. Racing games sell.
Sure.
And there's been something else too. So not huge this year, but it's not over. There's God of War on the horizon. That may get pushed. I don't know. They just reiterated that it's going to stay. It's just, you're still getting 4 to 5 strong exclusives, even though I don't even think PlayStation Studios has hit their stride yet.
No.
You're still getting tentpole games that define, your hardware. Xbox really doesn't have any, and Halo Infinite was supposed to be that game, and it's not yet. Even though I'm not saying it's like people aren't having fun with it, but even the most staunch Halo fans are disappointed with Infinite, from what I can tell.
Well, I mean, I think staunch Halo fans were disappointed with Halo 5 as well.
Touche. Fair.
I haven't even played Halo 5. I'm a big Halo fan.
Wow, that's like one of your favorite franchises.
I got into it late, I got into it more when, say, Halo 2 came out. But again, it's funny. I might not have gotten into it if it hadn't have been an exclusive and I was playing with friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I got it because I had an Xbox. There was hype. I remember going to Future Shop to get it. I got
Halo
the steel
2 and 3 were huge.
Yeah, I got the steel tin, got a cap.
And I mean, it is fair to say that the series, since Bungie left, has kind of been wavering. It has definitely been on the downslide, and Infinite was that promise with the new tech, and it just wasn't ready. And it's like, where's the games, man?
Yeah,
No,
and I'm certainly I can't defend the fact that the state of what we're in right now with Xbox. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of a game right now that I'm like anticipating launch on Xbox. Even though I'm excited that I've got my.
Isn't that kind of weird? Like,
I don't know.
You would in previous years you'd have E3. Well, I mean, we're having this new Xbox show, which hopefully gives us a really good layout for what is happening with Xbox Game Studios. Because if they don't come out with guns blazing, with, I don't know, Perfect Dark with the Coalition and a date and all this other stuff, like, disappointment would be an understatement.
I have to agree with you completely. Like, no, you're right. They need to like floor it off all cylinders flaming hot. Like, it's, yeah, and again, it's such a strange period in gaming right now. I feel like
it is, because despite that, I think like Games Pass has been huge for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Without Games Pass, they'd be, in a word, fucked. But it's people. I really think Games Pass has massaged that hurt for fans.
Well, and that's the thing. There are so many games available, and basically, no matter what type of game you like, there's going to be some selection in there for you. I was glancing over the list the other day because I'm actually not with Game Pass at the moment, but I'm considering upgrading. But I wanted to see how many games were in there that I was like, okay, I definitely want to play that. You know what I mean?
You can get into Games Pass for like 3 months for $1.
Sometimes.
You just have those deals like that.
Yeah. And I've definitely considered it a couple times when that happens. The other thing about it is that, if you've got gold membership up to, and I don't know if they've changed this yet, but as far as it stands, you could have up to 3 years and then convert it over to Ultimate and stay with 3 years. So transfers evenly if you're already registered up to that point. So I'm contemplating doing that.
Games, and it is, so I think Games Pass has massaged that loss, but they got to deliver between this upcoming Xbox show and the Bethesda showcase, along with Summer Games Fest. Xbox really needs to plan their next year and a half, 2 years, and they have to do it like, not this is coming 2023. They got to tell you when it's coming.
Yeah. Well, this show is coming up on June 12th, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And it's for both. It's like the Xbox Bethesda show.
That's right.
Right.
But it's a meaty show. It's at least an hour.
Oh, I would hope so.
Yeah. So that's going to be huge for them. And I really think, I mean, it's a make it or break it time, which is crazy 2 years in, but like they don't have games.
Well, I mean, games. I think the other thing that we've kind of glossed over is that we're still dealing with repercussions from the pandemic, and we're going to continue to feel those for some time yet, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but it's actually true, man. I
know it is, but like, kind of like, have they not figured out the workflow yet? I honestly think using COVID as an excuse for everything at this point is lame.
Well, there's also like just supply and demand of pretty much anything. Like, I don't know about you.
Yes. With manufacturing consoles, still getting them out there, yes. But I'm developing a game, they've figured out that pipeline working from home. Now, mind you, 2020, 2021, I know it threw a wrench in a lot of companies, okay? I get it. But we can't still be talking about this in June of 2022. Yeah. Like, even if that is the problem, No one wants to hear that fucking excuse, man.
Well,
Nobody.
We're tired of hearing that, but I don't know.
No
Like,
one
I mean,
wants to
today
hear it.
I couldn't get the vitamin C tablets that I like because, they can't get them. So just everything, little, it doesn't matter what it is. There's problems everywhere still.
And honestly, like, this carries over to all the like, Nintendo's been dry.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 2 got pushed. In terms of anything else, it's very dry there. PlayStation has been the better of the three in terms of that, but even that is still a little, unsure. Because after God of War, there's really not a lot else out there that they've talked about or given credence to. You know what I mean? Like, I do think Final Fantasy 16, it is a PlayStation exclusive. I think it's going to come out this year.
I do too. I mean,
and that'll be huge, but I mean, until it's a reality, it isn't. And other than God of War, we don't know anything. So it's just a really weird, like you say, this generation is honestly the strangest I can point to in all my, nearly 40 years of playing video games.
Transition.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, we've dealt with transition before, but this is so strange.
I actually feel like this is a great way to transition into another topic that you had lined up for us tonight. Favorite consoles of all time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes, for sure. But do you want to leave that for last?
No, let's just get into it, because I feel like we're kind of...
Okay, well, then we'll end on what we're playing.
Yeah, this feels like a natural flow.
Okay, and I ruined it for you. I'm sorry.
No, actually, I kind of like the way that you just kind of brought that up, and I was like, well, this feels like a good way to segue into this other thing that we want to talk about.
Yeah. There we go. So, yeah, our topic of the show, topic time, as we're trying to make a regular...
So you were suggesting, what are your top 3 consoles of all time?
Yeah, we have enough history and breadth in this wonderful medium we call video games to really give a knowledgeable take, and it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to take us a little bit here, and this is going to be off the cuff. I didn't write anything down.
Oh, I already know.
I don't even know what I'm going to say, but let's go back, and you know what? We'll just... How do you want to do this? You want to, you go and I go, or do you want to go back?
I mean, let me start, because I already...
Sure. So
it took me 5 seconds to decide what my top 3 consoles were.
Oh, okay, awesome.
That's how confident I am.
Give your console, start at 3, okay? Start at 3, give a little context about why, and then move forward. Go.
Number 3 is Sega Genesis.
Okay.
The 16-bit era is, to me, you want to talk about the heart and soul of our hobby. The 16-bit era. The 16-bit era pretty much sums that up completely. I mean, I don't need to sit here and rhyme off all the great Genesis games that came out. I mean, there's just tons. That was actually, I think I got if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember correctly here. Did I get my Genesis before my Super Nintendo, or was it the other way around? I think I actually got my Super Famicom before I got my Genesis. But
really?
Yeah.
Because the Genesis was out like basically 2 full years before the SNES hit our shores.
Maybe it's the other way around then.
It probably was.
It's a long time ago. I'm trying to remember.
Because remember, the Super Nintendo launched almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Before it came here in Japan.
No,
like I think it was 91, and then it came out here in 94. Don't quote me on the years.
No, you're no, yeah, I think you got that right. So, okay, so I got my Genesis first, but yeah, I mean, the trips to Toronto to get import games and all that kind of stuff, like getting Batman before Nintendo would let Sega have it in North America, things like that, right? I can remember picking up things like eSWAT, Thunder Force 3.
So good.
That.
Not to mention, the Phantasy Star 2.
Well, yeah, all of that stuff. I mean,
and this is long before Sonic was anything.
You know, and I can remember going to pick up Sonic from the warehouse with Mr. Beal back in the day, making the trip.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Dan Beal. He's like an uncle.
Yeah. Long lost one.
So what would be your number 3 then?
Oh man. Okay. Let me put some thought into this right now. You know what? You're gonna have to go to number 2. I just give me. I'll be ready when you come. You do your number 2.
Number 2, Xbox 360.
Okay. I had a feeling you'd say that.
To me, and it's kind of funny, but the Xbox 360 PS3 era really reminded me of the 16-bit era in the sense that there was so much innovation. There were so many good games. You know, Street Fighter brought fighting games back. You know, you got some really cool RPGs. Like there's a cult following for Lost Odyssey and stuff like that. You know. But that era, and specifically for me, the 360. I mean, I had a PS3 as well, of course, but I don't know, the amount of time spent playing with friends on my 360. Like, I can't tell you how many hours I put into Resident Evil 5, Halo, you know, Destiny 1.
Mm-hmm.
I just that machine brought me a lot of joy.
360 is what, you know, pushed online gaming to the forefront. You know, we'd flirted with it with the Dreamcast, you know, a little bit more with the PS2. It was, you know, haphazard, but not a reality. But 360 was the console that really made our current, what we see as gaming now, is what made it a reality.
Like, and honestly, this could be my number 1, but
the 360 isn't on my list. I don't have fond memories for it in that, but it'll always hold that position of respect for me for what it did for modern gaming as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you have to do 2 now.
Okay. This is really hard for me. I mean, I'm not trying to make this dramatic or anything, but I try to think, because I got to have a Sega console, right?
Well, what are the ones that brought you the most joy?
Well, I know.
Think of the fun factor, right?
So I'm going to go with number 3, and it's so close between this and the Genesis, but I'm going to have to go with the Sega Master System. It's the console that made me fall in love with video games. And it's crazy we both have Sega. You know, we were Sega kids. Like, I've reiterated this 1,000 times. I don't need to keep going over it. But it's crazy. Like, you were a Sega kid. I was, my neighbors across the street were, my other buddies down the road were, and it's weird to say, but in comparison to how big the NES was compared to the Master System, like, we're talking like a huge sales gap. Yet all in our area, everyone had a Sega Master System.
I know there was another guy I knew besides you that had one.
Like my neighbors, like that's at least 10 people I knew that had a Sega Master System. This corner of Brantford was holding down the Sega Master System hard. It's what formed my love for video games. You know, just so many of them, and just the weird quirks. Like, some of the games were on cards, and we'd slide them in. And I mean, Phantasy Star is the game, but there was Shinobi and Quartet and all these weird games, and Zillion, and it was the marketing PR packaging where every game looked like this futuristic graph with like an art piece. It was very uniform. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, if you line up all your Master System games on a shelf, they're gonna have that uniformity to them, right? So
yeah, like, it's crazy because I love the NES boxes too. Like, they were, you know, the art was really sick, but there was something about this like almost office like touch with the boxing of the Sega Master System. And, you know, you just had this black and maroon thing with the, you know, the light phaser, and you had your D-pads, but with the optional joystick you could screw in that little piece of plastic. Do you remember that?
I actually didn't remember that.
You could screw that into the D-pad. It had a hole like to screw in. So
that's pretty cool. I don't think anybody that that Master System I played never had that on it. I don't think so.
Oh, really? It came with the early ones.
Yeah, but I think anybody's that I remember playing R-Type at a buddy's place.
They probably just lost it. Like, it was
a cheap. Yeah, I mean, we were all kids, right? We probably just lost it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like, the Genesis I have more memories from the Genesis, but what Sega Master System did for me in terms of loving what this all became, I'll never forget it. It was a massive part of my childhood.
Well, I mean, Atari 2600 was a big kicker for me. So,
yeah. I mean, Sword of Vermilion. There was Go Valley.
Oh God,
there's so many.
Sort of.
There's so many great games.
That game has great music.
Yes, it does. You know, it's kind of rough when you go back and look at it, but whatever. I'll look up the soundtrack and put it behind this. Like, Sega had so many great innovations as a company until they finished with the Dreamcast. But even the Dreamcast was such an innovative console. You know, the really only major downstep was the Saturn. But, you know, the Saturn at least had a vision for what they were doing. But I love the Saturn. Right?
I love the Saturn. The Saturn might actually be my favorite Sega console, but the Genesis had a bigger impact on me.
And it had more games. Like, frankly, the Saturn didn't have as many games. To me, the Saturn is the Nintendo's console that was the Saturn was the Nintendo 64, because you look back on the N64, like, that's a great lineup of games. You know what? Owning just a Nintendo 64 when it was out was like a death knell. There was barely any games that were coming out year over year.
I gave up already on Nintendo when that thing came out. I was like, the 3D Mario didn't impress me. It was my
secondary console during that generation. The trickle out was great for me. But if I always thought to myself, I'm like, if this was my only console, this would really suck. It was like not enough. But yeah, so that was the Saturn. So I'll go Sega Master System at number 3. At number 2, I'm going to go the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
For the same reasons as you, like, the Genesis and that to me are interchangeable, but I think the breadth of the library of the Super Nintendo just kind of gives it that extra edge, even though I would never dismiss the exclusiveness of Sega, which I kind of prefer in a lot of different aspects. But like, I'll be honest, like, to me, the regular NES, the original NES, doesn't hold that much of a fond of a place to me, other than like Punch Out and some other games, Contra and stuff like that. But like, I felt Sega Master System did a lot of the same stuff. But like Wonder Boy, I preferred Wonder Boy over the equivalent offerings and stuff like that. But anyway, Super Nintendo was where it all came to life for me. Just everything. ActRaiser, Final Fantasy 2, which is Final Fantasy 4, Zelda, Link to the Past. I remember playing Lost Uncle Dan Beal when he had his video game Quest World downtown, and he had the stereo with the big screen in the back. I played Link to the Past for the first time there, and the opening with the rain and everything just blew my mind. It blew my mind.
I got a lot of fond memories of that place too. But I mean, how about when they got Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo? I mean, like, we had our import copies. It was a riot.
We couldn't believe it, like how close it felt to arcade. And then you look back, it wasn't, but it was incredible.
But for the time, that was a damn good translation.
Man. Like, and even the add-ons that the Super Nintendo, I had that Japanese. I could copy games onto
the UFO drive.
Yeah,
I had a UFO drive. Yeah,
like it was. I had this whole vast array of this weird shit. The only thing it couldn't do, it wouldn't do Mode 7 games. Right?
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah, it would never copy them properly.
Oh.
Unless they released a later one that I didn't have. But
I didn't have any. I don't remember having any. Although I didn't try to do Pilot Wings or anything like that. But
yeah, and
I don't remember having any issues with Mode 7 stuff with mine.
Mario Kart never copied well.
Okay.
But anyway, to me, it's an objective top 3 console for me, just in terms of what it did. I mean, God, the golden age for RPGs.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is my number 1. So we can just keep talking about Super Nintendo. Well, then I'll let you
carry on the conversation then. Let's go to your number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 3 or 6, depending on...
Just like nostalgia tier.
Oh my God. I mean,
and really where the Super Nintendo started to where it finished in terms of the visuals and everything, it had such a huge growth period.
Oh, absolutely. I remember because I got a Super Famicom and my first game was Super R-Type. And, it's notorious for its slowdown. But then, fast forward 5 years and look at what that thing was doing. I mean, you look at the difference between Super R-Type and R-Type 3. It's massive difference. Again, like I'm lucky having these analog machines for Genesis and Super Nintendo. I mean, the Genesis one plays Master System games. So I've got a full library of Master System games on there too. But yeah, it's a shame that the Super Nintendo one doesn't play Nintendo games, considering the Super Nintendo is actually an evolution of the 8-bit hardware. So
what a console, man. Like, what a time.
Oh, that's what I mean. The time, like that specific era, to me is like just a magical era for gaming.
And it's not just nostalgia. It really isn't.
Not.
Like, it's it seemed every genre was covered.
Yeah. The innovation for every genre, And
it's like great innovations in video games. I'm sure it happens with everything, but in video games, it's always happened with limitations involved. What they've done within this strict framework to make things happen. Whether it was the Sega limits with their music and they made it their own, the Genesis,
right,
and Super Nintendo's color palette or whatever, like what they ended up doing with, you look at Final Fantasy 4, 2 compared to Final Fantasy 3, 6 and the later RPGs, they're like night and day. Even though,
oh my God,
I don't necessarily think they're better just because of that, but visually and presentation wise, some of the stuff that they were doing is just like untouchable. I don't know.
So what's your number one then?
I think it's the PlayStation 4.
Okay.
It's crazy for me to say because it's so new, right? And I look at the amount of games that came out on my PlayStation 4 and how much fun I had it and how invested I was with trophies and all this stuff. I adored my PS4, and I think it's like you said, it was like another golden era where it seemed like every genre was getting hit. I mean, it's the second best selling console of all time, I think.
Okay.
Has it passed the Wii?
Is the Wii this? Oh shit! Yeah.
No, the PS2 is the number one.
I was gonna say I thought the PS2 was still number one.
But I'm trying to remember if the PS4 has passed the Wii. I don't know. Anyway, who cares? They've all sold like massive numbers, and it's like it was this mainstream console where, after the dark days of the PlayStation 3, which I absolutely love the PS3. I'll pose this question to you: if you had to rank the PlayStation consoles, how would you rank them?
That's a good question. Jeez. That's a good question. Well, I mean, I don't have a 5 yet, so
yeah, just go 1 through 4.
Well, I guess I'm going to put the PS1 at the bottom simply because there's been so much improvement. PS3 would be my second last, then PS4, and then PS2.
So PS2 number 1.
Yeah.
For me, I think the PS2 would be my least favorite, even though I loved it. Like, it's crazy to say that.
I didn't get my PS2 until like way late in the lifespan of the system.
I see.
So I was able to just really enjoy the full catalog at that point. Like I hadn't even played Final Fantasy X, and like 12 was out. So
it's and me saying that just sounds ridiculous too. I think it's just because I like the PS1, Final Fantasy VII and Castlevania, Metal Gear, and all. I just think it was because it was so new in the catalog that it offered. And remember, I think they're all great consoles, even though the PS3 is a complete mess. Which
it's a mess.
By all rights, it should be last. But it gave us the PlayStation that, had a boot shoved up their ass, where they just went crazy with exclusive games. They were releasing like 15 to 20 exclusive games every single year. Now, mind you, most of them didn't sell, but it was such a great time for their video. But that hardware was all fucked up. Well, but when people harnessed it properly, it was incredible, right?
I mean, the PS1 probably shouldn't be at the bottom, considering all the games I've got for it.
Yeah, but anyway,
I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard in a moment, that's what I decided. So
same here. I might give you a different answer. Although the 3 and 2 I think are pretty cemented for me.
Yeah.
But a PlayStation console would be number 1, and I right now I lean towards 4, just because of I love the user experience of it. Just a lot of the stuff. I think it was a really, really strong console that ran well, that fixed almost everything from the PS3 era, and
I'll agree with that.
Wonderful
for sure.
library.
Yeah.
So that's honestly, that's a really hard experiment to do, especially on the fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But regardless, we've had a lot of history in games, man.
Dude.
Thinking about all these consoles and stuff, and I look over.
Been playing games for 40 plus years.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. So,
I guess really quickly before we wrap things up, just mention what we're playing.
Yeah, I was just speaking on that. We'll go contemporary. What have you been playing?
To be fair, I haven't really been able to sink my teeth into anything really solidly since I beat Elden Ring a few weeks ago.
I can see how that's a tough game to replace. Like I have that every once in a while where I'm like, I finished this special game.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like now what?
Well, I've been playing a little bit of this and that, I've actually been playing some NBA 2K20 because I've been getting back into basketball.
Baller Donovan.
Yeah, I actually even bought a basketball and been shooting some hoops. So
yeah, I went out yesterday,
Yeah.
Trying to get my health back and my physicality, because this guy used to be an excellent basketball player. I played college, but I'd been back into it. But when the pandemic hit, I just, there was nowhere really to go play.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I watched the Last Dance documentary finally, and it just completely refueled my love of 90s basketball. So
it's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing a bit of that. I have a couple little loose ends in Elden Ring that I haven't finished before I start my second journey, but I'm not in a particular rush to do that, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I started Mass Effect Legendary Edition and basically landed on the first planet and haven't really moved on from there. So,
Were you playing the original Mass Effect?
Well, this is the Legendary Edition.
Yeah, I know, but like which?
Yeah, number 1. Yeah.
Okay, number 1. You're starting at number 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figure if I'm going to play the series again, I'm going to play the whole series, right?
Yeah, and number 1's the one that saw the most attention in terms of revamping it. How did it feel? Because that's something I look at on my shelf that I want to go through again. It's just
I can't give an honest.
Oh, you haven't played enough.
I haven't played it enough yet.
Okay.
It seems, I already noticed some nice improvements. I mean, lighting and all that stuff is really nice.
I'm anxious to see. I'm anxious to next time we talk. Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to play, but if you do play, chime back in and how you feel about the gameplay.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's my biggest issue from the original Mass Effect.
But other than that, yeah, not too much. I've been booting up a few odd things on the retro consoles and just kind of, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, but nothing that I've really decided, okay, this is the next game I'm going to complete or whatever. I think I can actually beat the Legendary Edition, all 3 Mass Effects, in a shorter amount of time than it took me to finish Elden Ring.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
Mass Effect 1, is like shockingly kind of long.
It's about 40 hours. 40 to...
I think it's longer than the other 2.
I think 2 is about 40 hours, and I think 3 is actually a little bit longer because of all the DLC.
Oh, yeah. If you factor in the DLC, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
Yeah,
I'll
what are you
go.
playing?
Yeah, like just with what's been going on with me, I really had a hard time getting into stuff. One, I
Oh,
couldn't sit long enough. And two, just mentally, I wasn't in the right space, and it didn't make me feel good because I love video games. It just I couldn't find enjoyment in it. But
dude, I
uh,
completely understand because I got really sick a few years ago. I had like bronchitis and with a touch of pneumonia. You'd think I'd play the whole time I was off. I didn't
no,
play
I
a
just
single minute of video games
yeah.
that whole week.
So, but a double a double whammy of like samurai goodness, believe it or
Mm,
not. So I never went through Sekiro. Like as you know about me on this podcast, I leave games because I just wait till they're patched and
yeah.
whatever. But Sekiro is what I played, and it's a game I started and it kicked the shit out of me, and I was like, this is fucked. Like, the pairing, I couldn't really get it. And I was like, I don't know, this just seems so weird. So I put it down, and I don't know. I always wanted to go back to it because I hate when things get the better of me.
Mm,
Uh, and I've been working my way through it. I can't say that I have the knack of it yet. I've had moments where I'm like, okay, I'm incredible at this right now, and then something just destroys me.
mm,
Uh, it's it. I pride myself on being good in my pairing windows, but this sometimes I don't know. I I think I'm pressing the attack button too much. Like, you can't hit it. And I'm usually not like that with games, but
mm,
I find like the window sometime I'm either not seeing it good enough, which is the most likely scenario, or two, I'm just, overreaching. So I got to find the happy medium. And Sekiro's the one from software game where you do or you die. That's it.
mm.
There's no other route you can go. There's no other way you can play. It is what it is, like that game.
So if you
And
make a
I
mistake,
think,
you're going to pay for it.
yeah, but it's like, you can't go try another weapon or go try another part of this world. I mean, there's a couple different ways you kind of can
Okay,
go, but
yeah.
ultimately you have to meet these barometers. You can't go get stronger, for instance. The way you get stronger is by beating these bosses,
Right.
right? And if you don't beat them, you're just going to keep doing the same thing. And I had a really good string, and I think it's a great game, but I can see. I think it's so far. I would say it's From's hardest game.
Oh, okay. I think I've actually
Definitely,
heard that.
definitely. I mean, I found Demon Souls difficult only because of I think some of the downfalls of the combat, like maybe that like it's an intentional design thing of something that I don't like the waiting, like moving forward and
Oh,
stuff, like
okay.
your
Yeah.
momentum and stuff like that. Like whereas Bloodborne had hard parts, but I never thought like it was kicking my ass, other than a couple bosses.
Sure.
Dark Souls 3, same sort of thing. I haven't gotten to Elden Ring yet, but Sekiro it's hard, man.
Yeah. You're
It's
going to
hard.
if you come on to Elden Ring after playing Sekiro, you're going to be like, "Oh my god, what happened?" This is so easy.
Really? You think so?
Again, it's all about how you approach it. But
Like I will say, like I jumped in just for a little bit, and
well, because
I
of the open world nature of the game,
you can go, yeah,
there are things you can go find, quote unquote, um, that can, really alter the enemy's ability to live.
yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. But
Yeah.
and that Sekiro's a game you haven't played, right?
No, I haven't. And it's not because I don't want to, but I was not in the right headspace to play that game when it came out. I
I
think at
will
that,
say it definitely, and that was so I fell off that when I started getting more sick because I was like, this is a taxing game,
yeah,
right? It's not something you just toss on and like I was in the mind space to die and lose everything over and over and over again. I just
right.
wasn't in the mood for that. So
Well,
I shelved it a little bit, but I'm gonna get back into it soon.
well, now that you're of sound mind and body, yeah.
Yeah. But the other
I
game that recently came out was Trek to Yomi.
Okay, yeah. I
Um
wondered if that was the other one you were going to mention.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it because I really loved the visual style
Oh,
of it,
it's got a lovely visual style.
and it
Absolutely.
is. Like that definitely carries over. I would say the combat is not. It's funny. Like the combat should have been better,
Mm.
but it's not bad. It's just simplistic.
Okay.
Okay, like they add moves and things like that, but I don't know. I guess it could be just a touch wonky, you could say, but it's sufficient enough for me to continue to want to see the visual spectacle that's going on,
It's more
and
of a
things like that.
cinematic game, isn't it? As
Very
far as like presentation and like.
fixed camera angles
Okay.
that were all artistic decisions, and I kind of missed it. I like it. So I mean, the game does have a little some challenge curves, but the checkpoints are so frequent that you're never really worried about it.
So it's more about the story and the
Yeah,
visual.
and getting through it. Like, it's not a long game,
Mm.
but I'm enjoying it so far. I'm on the fifth level now, and there's only six,
Okay.
so I'll go through it. Short, bite size, but yeah, a lot of samurai goodness in
Awesome.
there.
Yeah. Well, I,
The other
I
game I
enjoyed
got.
my.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I enjoyed my time with Neo as far as samurai goodness is concerned.
Did you end up finish this in the second one?
I haven't picked up the second one yet. I was just gonna wait
Mm,
until I get my PS5 down the road. There's a few
okay.
games I'm kind of holding off on until I get the new system. So.
And I got I got a lot of games like to go. The New Horizon. I got Elden Ring. I love Drinkbox Studios. I picked up their Nobody Saves the World.
Mm.
Uh, they did Guacamelee and
Okay.
stuff like that. They're based in Toronto, by the way.
I
Uh,
knew that. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
so it's like an RPG, but you like swap all these different characters. Like become you're a rat and all this other stuff, and it's kind of cool. And you mix and match your stuff, and it has that drink box flair. I fired it up, and I liked it. I knew I would like it though because I like
Mm.
their games.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
so that
dabbled with Guacamelee, but I didn't really invest a lot of time into it. So.
I loved the first Guacamelee. I platinumed it twice. I didn't like the second one as much.
Mm.
I think the first one was that right amount, and the soundtrack was so good. It's so good. Um, but yeah, that's about it. Nice and tight ship on this one. We're gonna come in under an hour and 20 minutes.
Yes,
So I'm glad we could get together. We're getting back on the saddle. Summer finally arrived. Sick of this cold. Like we had like 6 months of winter, man. Like
dude. I just
too
really
long.
hope that I feel better in the morning because I do not
I
want to
really
get
do
sick.
too. That sucks. You're not feeling good. You got the concert on the weekend. Hopefully, this is just a flash in the pan, and maybe take a Neocitrin or something and
I can't
crash
take
early.
Neocitrin.
Why?
It's got acetaminophen in it.
Acetaminophen.
I'm
What
allergic to
happened? Did you
acetaminophen.
break out in hives?
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, I guess
Oh
a good
yeah.
guess.
Oh no, it's a bad scene, man.
Okay, well, no one wants
I
that.
haven't tempted fate with Tylenol or acetaminophen in many years because it, it 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 affects me in a way that will prevent me from going to my job for a number of days. For one thing,
All right, so what do? You just smoke a joint and
soak
hope
in
for
an
the best?
ointment bath.
Oh, all right, all right.
No,
Hey, other than I put a down payment on a Steam Deck.
oh,
Yeah, I don't know why, but I did.
okay.
Because I was like, this is really cool tech, and you can play all these games portably from my PC. I'm like, might as well. I
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, who doesn't want to play Assassin's Creed on the beach?
Me, I don't want to do that, but I mean, I'll play
I
other
don't
games
know,
on the
man.
beach. But yeah, I hope you are feeling better, my friend. I'm
Thanks.
glad I am feeling better,
Yeah,
my
me too,
friend.
man.
And we got to get at least one a month going here.
Well, I mean, we should get one probably shortly after this summer gaming thing happens.
Yes. Yeah. What do you have a date on Summer Games Fest?
Well, I know that the
Roughly?
Bethesda Xbox thing is on June 12th, so I'm going to assume that it's in that same time
Probably
frame
right. I
period.
bet you it follows it like the very next week or something.
Yeah. So,
All right, man. Well, listen, you feel better.
thank you, sir.
Enjoy that concert.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad we got together for this show.
Yes, y'all.
Episode 6
In
is
the
a wrap.
bag.
Now you just stay on the line
Yeah.
while we hang up here. All right. Yeah. Peace, everybody.
Peace out.